Welcome to the Chromaniacs, your weekly look inside San Diego FC and Major League Soccer. My name's Craig Elston, here with you for episode number 33 of the Chromaniacs, episode 5 of season 2. Joined by my fellow Chromaniacs, Tony Sanchez and Alex Pena for the season preview episode. Tony, what's going on?
Well, preseason kind of has been over, but now it's like, okay, we got to settle in, get the routine down, because match day 1 of MLS for San Diego FC season 2 is ours. A couple sleeps away. Alex.
Yeah, and guess what? It's cold in San Diego. I got a hoodie on. Craig has a jacket on, and
I know
we're hoping that the action on the pitch kind of warms us up heading into the home opener on Saturday night.
And weather's supposed to break in SDFC and CF Montreal Club Football Montreal.
Club Foot. I think it's Club Foot.
Yeah. Club Foot Montreal. Oui, très bien. That's what's taking place. 7:30 kickoff on Saturday night. We'll be on live after the match with the Chromaniacs post-game show. But today we're really taking a look at the start of the season for San Diego FC. Obviously understanding that the Champions Cup first leg has been accomplished and that the team's moving on to take on Toluca in March. Now it's time to begin the slog. But is it a slog this year, or is it really almost 2 sprints with a World Cup in between? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about schedule breakdown. We'll talk about a whole lot of things getting you ready for Saturday night's game. Let's start things off by saying thank you for being here. We're happy for everybody who has found and adopted this show as part of their routine of following SanDiego.Futbol Club. If you enjoy the show and you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button. Give us the like right there. It's a quick way to pay us back without having to spend a single cent. Hit subscribe so you know every time we go live with things like our post-match shows, because a lot of times the timing on that depends on when Mikey Varas comes out, when everybody gets done. And then we get a text from Tony, I'm ready, I'm in position. And then we come hustling in to do the show. So, I mean, it could be, 10:30, 11 on Saturday night when we get things started. And we'll be here. We'll be ready for you whenever it all gets done. With that, let's get things cracking. Oh, I almost forgot. Follow us on Instagram at the Chromaniacs. Got to follow us on Instagram. Thank you, Terrible SDFC Memes, for helping keep things going. 750 basically right now. Let's get to 1,000 here in the first couple of matches. Let's go, folks. Let's get everybody on board for a fun summer, hopefully, of soccer. Spring to come, starting in the winter. Here we go. First league match, Saturday. Montreal in town. Rosters have to lock down on Friday. And as we look at the club, and of course we've had the opportunity to see the club twice, in serious competitive action, so we know what they want to do. We have an idea, that Ian Pilcher might have lost his gig for a little while. Might be a change there for a little while. We know that there are some young guys. If Valakari's healthy, is Soma losing his job, or is Soma a guy that they want to keep pushing the action and maybe leave Oni on the bench until he shows that he's at a level? There's some interesting questions to be asked. Certainly, will our friend up top, Mr. Morgan, ever be available? Or is this going to just be chasing the ghost all year long? And maybe was that the intention? Maybe was Morgan never a huge part of this team's game plan? Was this just kind of a lottery ticket because maybe a David Vasquez can step in and be somebody who can do the job for SDFC just as well and at a fraction of the price. Some of the questions I imagine we'll explore over the course of this podcast and of the early part of this season. But Tony, where would you like to start today in terms of how we try to unpeel this orange?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best place is just kind of putting the band back together. Who is in the band, right? Like the latest out of San Diego FC, the comunicado oficial, new player coming in as it's been rumored by Mikey Varas himself that, hey, there's this player coming in, fichado, Bryan Zamble. Alex, is that correct?
Yeah. Zamble.
Ivorian player, young player, 7 years in Right to Dreams Academy, International Academy. So this is the poster child for everything that you've been told about Right to Dream. He's the kid. He's the golden boy of this system and this academy. And we'll see what this means for him coming together. But Alex, can he even play for San Diego FC? Is that can we see him?
Yeah, that's a really good question because just looking at the roster, there's no spots available for him unless they make a move, unless there's a loan or potentially, and just kind of asking around and seeing, what kind of player is he going to be? Is he going to be the fourth under 22 player? And it kind of seems like he's not. He doesn't have to be because he's part of the academy, the system that is Right to Dream, and their San Diego FC is connected to that system. So he doesn't have to be under 22, but that means due to his age, he's going to be a supplemental player coming in, and that is all full. That's where all the younger guys live. We got Verhoeven there, Sargent, Bombino, Pilcher, Dua, Alvarado, Farid, Duru, Sadie, and it kind of seems like one of those guys has to go in order to play Zamble, or you can also keep him unavailable and just kind of bring him out for little tournaments here and there, like Leagues Cup, potentially Champions Cup if they get further down the road. But I think we have to see another corresponding move here, Craig.
Yeah, and before that, Craig, I'm so sorry, but did you see the images from San Diego FC that displayed their roster that vanished a couple of minutes later? Were you aware of that?
No.
I
didn't see that.
So internet
I'm not terribly online. I'm not as terribly online. And I used to say I'd like apologize, but I'm stopped apologizing for that. So
no, that's good. All right. So I think this is a good building block, right? So keep that in mind with all this context. This was posted by the club on the social medias and disappeared. Starting from the back, goalkeepers, no surprises.
Oh, wait, I did see this. Okay.
Yeah. So
I didn't know this is what you're talking about. Yeah.
So boom, boom, boom. We have CJ, Pablo Cisniega, and some man that says it's Duran Ferry, but that's not Duran I remember. But yeah, he's there, moving up into some of that defensive areas. These are your defenders for San Diego FC.
All right. Yep. Shoes.
Right. Midfield.
Yeah.
Gangs
Soma,
back together.
Duke. Yeah.
And up top.
Boateng, Saidi, and Vartson, Lewis Morgan. Yeah. Dreyer. Okay.
A couple guys missing there.
No Fachado. No Chucky.
No Thomas.
No Thomas. Angel either.
Yeah. Well. I mean, hasn't that been a fait accompli since you told me he was the last guy to arrive and the first to leave?
Yeah.
And that, Chucky just mouthed off, and they shipped their $7 million contract to the side field. Tomas Angel is like a fading memory for this team. He'll be activated at the moment of despair and never before.
But yeah, just like any sport, any roster crunch, you got to submit this officially to MLS tomorrow by 5 p.m. and make this official. So that means if there's no moves, from here till 5 o'clock on Friday, that means Shuki's still on the roster. That means Tomas Angel's on the roster officially. And where is Zamble gonna fit into this? I don't know. That's something for Tyler Heaps to figure out.
Well, I imagine that they will make a move before the first game of the season. I imagine they'll make a move tomorrow, and it'll be perfectly timed to miss the Chromaniacs because we record on Thursday night. So, I imagine that's something that they're going to do. And whether that's maybe announcing a loan, we were speculating before we hit record, like who could possibly be a loan. Verhoeven stands out as somebody who's been pushed down the depth chart probably too far for a young player for this club's liking or ultimate comfort level. They want everybody to be developing so they have, maximum choices when they go forward. So that could be an option. What do you do? Could you release an Angel? What about Chucky? And that's the transition. You gotta bring it up, and everyone wants it to be yesterday's news. But the thing is, they made the announcement that Chucky Lozano wasn't going to be in the team's sporting plans a month ago now. And nothing's happened since. And this week, we got Chucky's brother getting quoted saying how, Chucky's been a problem in all of these different places, but paraphrasing that his mouth gets him in trouble and that he's rude and he's arrogant. And that's why he's stuck in the situation he is. You had a Mark Ziegler piece in the UT noting that Chucky's just chilling on that same side field and that quite possibly he might be down. And I saw this in some other MLS reporting that Chucky just might be down to just take the money and run, basically. And by run, I mean like run up and down the beach with his dog if he has one, run up and down the field on the side field before he goes and hits the golf course or goes and does whatever else he wants to do. Trying to rebuild the Chucky brand with pithy social posts, with little smile, the positive there. But what really surprises me, Tony, is two things. The club level, that you would let this be something that just lingers. And you can say you're past it, but he's here. He's literally showing up every day to make sure that he still gets paid. So you're not past it, even if you say you're past it. That surprises me. I thought they'd be assertive. I thought when they made this announcement, they were doing it with something in place, and in one way or another, even if it was, God forbid, a release and eating the money, that they do something before the start of the season. Instead, you're a 2 DP club with 1 DP coming into the year. That's really, really frustrating. It truly affects how Tyler Heaps can work to improve the club, because if the giant DP that he's, reportedly trying to track down from Club America, pops open, they have to change format or get rid of Chucky. Though they have to do one of those, that get rid of Anders Dreyer. They're not going to do that. So they've got to do something. So on the club level, that really surprises me. On the Chucky level, I guess you just really don't care about the World Cup, huh, Chucky? I don't even think you care about your career, man. Because if you take this year off, where are you going next? Where are you going next, dog? A-League? Zuzu A-League down in Australia? Where are you going? What's next up for you? Wellington Phoenix? Sydney FC? Where are you going? If you're gonna do the dog and pony show and just, I'll take the money, I'm not going to leave, I don't want to play. Why does any other club believe that you're a part of their high-end solution, which is where you want to get paid?
I mean, and this is maybe a learning lesson for everybody involved in San Diego FC and how to handle these situations, because clearly you say that there are teams knocking at the door, or not even knocking at the door, just teams you're negotiating with for Chucky Lozano, and you have had these teams and there's a lot of interest. Well, maybe there's not a lot of interest to get rid of him for some reason. I mean, if the option is to pay off the contract completely or get him off your books via transfer, there's a smart thing to do there with somebody else's money, and that's to get something back or at least cut your losses immediately, because now this is going to be a narrative that isn't only going to be brought up And like I'm already seeing it. Like I'm not going to be the one to ask Mikey Varas, hey, where's Chucky? Wouldn't he be good? Maybe question 3 or 4 in the post match at some point if it's that lonely for that night. But this is something that even if it does come up, the club is prepared to just ignore, and they're just completely ready to move on in terms of, oh, what about this person? Well, they're not part of the team. Let's move on. So even if he stays here, even if he doesn't play in the World Cup, even if SanDiego FC isn't producing and Pellegrino is not doing what he's supposed to be doing, that point of discussion for the club has already come and gone. But you can't say it's completely shut because he's still there. He's still a resource. He's still a place that your team is hurting because you cannot bring somebody else in because you're paying somebody already 7 point something million just to be there and take a DP spot. Who's going to want to come into this situation where, oh, that's how you treat your DPs? Maybe Chucky was onto something. Maybe it wasn't all Chucky Lozano and his behavior, even though, it was. But those questions could potentially still come in for an agent, right? Who's then going to negotiate with like, well, this is a first-time club, first-time manager. Like my star client is a star client, and he's going to do everything for the team. But, he's also knowing how he maybe the club isn't ready for this superstar level of players. Again, this is all just speculation from here on out. But the fact is, Chucky Lozano's still here and is taking a spot and an opportunity when in a club that speaks nothing other than opportunities given.
Yeah, and I think we can kind of recognize the situation now with his brother speaking up, and I think a lot more people are asking questions, especially in the Mexican media side of like, yeah, this guy's difficult to deal with, and it seems like this is the problem they had before, like trying to get him on a transfer and get rid of him. That this is the reason. Like no one really wanted to deal with him. Like no one wanted to put up with his attitude or anything. It just wasn't worth the money to spend on him. Even if SanDiego FC says we'll take half, we'll pay half of his salary, or we'll pay 3/4 of his salary, just get him out of here. And it kind of seems like team just said no, like we're not dealing with this. So it's SanDiego FC's backed into a corner. We're gonna talk about the schedule soon, but yeah, if this leads to a situation where the winter's window, even though it's not officially over, it seems like it's kind of over. If this goes on into the summer window where they still haven't done anything with Chucky, and they're gonna have to pay the 3 DP type of penalty where you want to bring someone in, but you can't release Chucky, and you're kind of stuck in limbo still. That's gonna cause another problem heading, towards the second half of the season.
And that's what I suspect is about the only thing they have left to do. They could announce tomorrow that they just released him. That's a thing that they could do. They could say, we released Chucky Lozano. His badge doesn't work anymore. He's received or will receive, we've negotiated a situation by which we're going to pay out his contract over the course of the next, X months. And Chucky is free to seek employment, but he can't come back here. Now we have one DP. We've taken the bullet. Tyler Heap's words about ownership's commitment to this decision has been validated. And now at the summer window, we can aggressively look for a DP to bring on to the club and to try and do something at the midway point to really give the team a rocket boost when they're going to need it, when the schedule gets much more difficult in the second half of the season, theoretically, based on its current weight. So, you never know, because I'm sure everyone in this exact exercise last year rated SDFC as one of the easy teams to play in the second half because they were all picked to finish last, and then they finished first. So MLS gonna MLS, don't ever believe the numbers. But, with that said, right, like that's a thing they can do. Finding some other weird transfer. We've transferred him to Uzbekistan. We've transferred him, to the Sri Lankan Premier League. Find somewhere where there's a global market open and someone's interested. That's not going to happen. That's something that would happen in the cable series version of this. Like the Hulu spinoff is where they send him to some wacky comedic, location in the Far East.
He's going to turn up Kings League watch.
Him and Coaster just, again, the Sockers could do the funniest thing ever. I mean, the day he's released, be like, you can still play soccer. You can show everyone how good you are. You won't make the World Cup. But that's not changing anyways. No. That's not changing anyways. You decided to stay here, bro. Play indoors. Have some fun.
And you know what's funny? And you just talked about this recently, Craig, with Nick Castellanos. What happens if this turns into that situation where you release him and there's a team up the road, LA Galaxy, they don't have to pay him millions. They can just pay him the minimum, the senior max. They don't have to take a DP spot. No TAM necessary. It's under budget, and they get a quote unquote like another DP player for basically nothing. And would you feel how would you feel about that?
Well, I'd feel that this was the implication of your decision, that you made a choice to cut bait before you had a place to send him. You decided not to go down the path of use him until you can lose him. And you reached the point of no return when you got through every window closing without executing any kind of deal. So now it's the start of the season, and you either just leave him as this hanging Chad on your season where every game that it doesn't go your way, and maybe you go undefeated, you get every single point, you're the best team in history, and no one will ever ask about Chucky again. But it's an absolute friggin' guarantee the first time the team loses 2 in a row that it's an issue for San Diego FC until they resolve it. Once they resolve it, then you can talk about them. Was it a mistake? Was it good? Was it bad? Is he on the Galaxy? Is he pouring in goals and assists against us? Damn, maybe we should have kept him. But honestly, what I'm starting to think is they made a bet that they lost, which was that they were going to be able to execute a move before the windows closed, that they had a deal on the line. Lots of people want him. Well, where are they? No one's got him right now. What are you holding out for something? What are you holding out for? More money to go on the deal, a loan deal. You want to transfer, they want a loan. What is it? Point is, time's run out. To send him to Mexico, time's run out. Done. Now you're trying to go somewhere else. So if it's not that, then what is it for your team? And that's where I just feel like they're kind of going, la, 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 let's move forward. Look at the young players. This is what we're going to do. We're going to be even more exciting, even more successful, and we're going to be younger. And the way they got younger in this exact particular case, so sorry, once again, to be the asshole holding my hand up, but was by going from Chucky Lozano to Amal Pellegrino, who's in his mid-30s.
And it's so relevant to talk about it too, right? Because we're talking about literal roster construction. Who's going to be on this team? Well, there's a player that's impeding other moves from happening right now. That's an obstacle. And my biggest thing and moving forward with the season is I'll concede to Chucky FC or whoever wants to say, well, Chucky would have done this because it's already happened in that Puma second leg. Oh, Pellegrino hits the post twice. One of them, he wasn't even going to hit the post, but Navas touches it and it goes on and it hits the post, right? Like, okay, sure. But in that same game, if that's the energy that's going to be going towards Pellegrino and company for not scoring in Bartson, I want to hear that also for somebody who did absolutely nothing in that game in the form of Honors Dreyer. He looked gassed. He was neutralized. Like, yes, MVP caliber, everybody's coming back, but didn't really see much of him. It didn't really contribute that much. So throughout the season, like, I'm going to be fascinated to see where that energy goes. Where this, well, Chucky would have done this, yeah, but Honors had 5 chances and he didn't make it. These things are happening. So that's why it's a point of discussion. still happen until he's released and he's no longer on the payroll, on HR. And guess what? Mr. Mansour is in town. So if you're ever going to try to convince somebody to throw millions down into the drain, might as well do it in person, right?
Might as well do it in person if that's what he wants to do and he wants to be local hero, the path is right there, because at this point you've created the problem and you haven't solved it. So I find it funny to do the whole we're going to ignore it situation. And I think what comes with that is an implicit tacit agreement with everyone who covers the team. Hey, you don't talk about it either. We don't talk about you. No, no, no. That's the whole song. And I refuse, essentially, not to keep bringing it up just to be a jerk, but on a roster preview, season preview show, it's absolutely relevant. Now, with that said, SDFC's goal is to be this dynamic, exciting team that is also the youngest team in the league. And their year one team involves veterans that eventually they're going to want to phase out for 16-year-olds. I'm only slightly kidding. Like, they'll want them to be 21 in their prime before they're getting transferred potentially, but they want them coming in at 16, 17, 18 years old. They want the young players to succeed. They want this to be a team that gets younger as it gets better. And that's one thing I kind of wanted to ask you guys before we even get into any of the numbers of what people are saying, prediction this, prediction that. Who's a young player on this roster that you think is going to make an outsized impact compared to what he's being talked about right now?
Just based on 2 games, I'm going to throw David Vasquez out there. He looks like he's grown up a lot since the end of last season. So I don't think there's a lot of talk about him. I think most of the talk is going to the Leo Pedro Soma, Pedro Soma, and Luca Bombino, Eisner. But I think Vasquez should get a chance, plenty of chances in that midfield. Swap him out with Valakari and maybe Soma, and kind of, see what you got there in an attacking midfielder role, because I don't see anyone really declared, as a good solid fit. Arguments can be made that, that's Valakari's role to lose. I still like him, everywhere in the midfield. I think he could play anywhere, and he can be that super sub, and you can, move him around. But I think someone should be taking control of that 10 and, doing something creative with it, scoring goals, providing shots, being another threat in that attack. So I think Vasquez could be a player we should be talking about.
I'll stick to the midfield. And I mean, we're talking youth, we're talking young guys. Like, for me, a 24-year-old is young, especially, just having
old. Very old.
Yeah,
SDFC old. Real world young, SDFC old.
but like, the promise and the talk about this player has been, as more and more I look into his story and what he's supposed to bring, and the ceiling that he has, Mr. Duke. Bryce Duke.
Really? Interesting.
Bryce Duke. So I actually got a little just conversation on the back end with some Montreal outlets, and it's a situation where potential through the roof. He can have the best game of anybody on a pitch on any given day, but there wasn't any consistency, and he hadn't had the confidence in himself in order to be that attacking midfielder and really start producing goals. So if there's one thing that we've talked about, is that San Diego FC, it's kind of that rejuvenation pool. It's kind of that place where you can make mistakes, where you're safe to grow in your own style, but within the right to dream philosophy, and you can kind of carve your way into this. And We've seen a couple of players really develop in that, and I think that's a player that Tyler Heaps and Mikey Varas said that's a diamond in the rough. And a diamond in the rough still needs to be cut and still needs to be polished. So if that's the case, then I can see good things happening in that midfield for a Bryce Duke for sure.
That's fascinating. My official answer to this is going to be Soma, seeing as you took Vasquez. I was, whichever one was open as the guy going third. I'll take that one. I think Vasquez is a great answer. I think he has a chance to maybe start down the road for San Diego FC, though, if he keeps coming in and being productive the way that he has. But Soma's so young, and they have a lot of belief in this kid for his ability to connect, for his ability to be somebody who's creative offensively. And that's pretty exciting. If I was going to cheat, I would cheat and say that I think in the best case scenario versions of SDFC's season, that Manu Dua takes a step towards superstar. And so as such, even though our expectations already are for him to be like our best center back and this guy who's a dude in the middle, like what if he even took a step higher than that, to the point where people are talking about him all-star, all-league, transfer market going crazy mid-season. European clubs are interested in Manu Dua, like, because I want to inject some like happy what ifs with the Chucky Brew, like, and as we get toward projections and such, like that could be a really happy what if Manu Dua took even a bigger step up.
Yeah, that's a high ceiling with with Manu Dua. Yeah, it seems like I want to, I do want to know what more he has, and what's like his other dimension he's going to bring to the table this season, because it seems like we've seen it do it all. He can cover a lot of ground. He can defend. He doesn't back down. He's very fearless. But I think if they start doing, the little set pieces, the little corner kicks, like they were doing against Pumas, and he's involved, I think we're going to see a much more of a scoring threat from Manu Dua, because he's a tall frame, and if you get him involved in those corner kicks, that's going to be trouble for a lot of teams in this league.
And Dua already put a international on ice and essentially got him shipped off to Hull City back and closer to his house. And good luck to you, Patty McNair. But he also has some upcoming competition potentially. Andres Reyes is coming back after the World Cup per Mikey Varas. And so if that's the case, I see just the phenotype of the center back type that he is being more close to Andres Reyes than McVeigh. I see McVeigh staying in case Andres Reyes comes back. But for Manu Dua, he has a challenge now coming his way. So how is he going to respond to that? And he's a player that the community has already just identified with, just because if you've seen any San Diego FC games, Manu Dua probably did one or two crazy things in that match defensively, to put his body on the line, to put his heart on the line, to pump up the crowd, like all these little things that, when speaking about even on a broader sense, the marketing of soccer, right? He's a player that you look at and you can immediately tell, even if you don't watch soccer like that, like, ese vato le pone huevos. That guy is one that's putting everything in every single game, getting the crowd involved, going on offense, being physical, tracking back, not giving up. And I think, from the way in a play style that even Mexican fans, and I'll just generalize it in that section, for Mexican fans, that's what we like to see. We like to see somebody que se parta la madre. We like to see somebody who just gives it everything. And with those goal line clearances on their own, like, you've made fans for life in the city. And that ceiling, like you guys are saying, is just incredibly high for Manu Dua.
All right. To that, how about somebody on the roster, whether it's a veteran or anyone else, something that could be a surprise? What could be a surprise on this year's roster, in your opinion?
Oh man, I do have a surprise, but I don't know if people are gonna like it or gonna be surprised by it. But I think that Amal Pellegrino is going to be okay, and yeah, I think that's going to make Chucky FC mad, but it doesn't matter. And he'll give you some good contributions. I think he'll get to 8 goals, like, probably like 5, 6 assists, and you got 14, 15 goal contributions right there. He's not going to be an everyday player, but I think he's just going to do just enough to help this thing keep moving until they do find that player down the road. And but I think he's solid. He's got a lot of good things going for him, especially with him playing in Europe, and it's just making sure the body's still fit. He's old. He's the oldest player on this team, and he just we're just not expecting him to do a lot. But I do feel in this system he's gonna connect on those goals. He's gonna have those opportunities because no one's gonna be looking out for him, right? So I think 15 or so goal contributions should be around the number I might that we might be seeing.
I think I'm going to say something. I mean, this almost sounds like what would shock people, what would be just eye-opening.
I was like, is this Hot Take Island
I think I think this is where we're kind of paddling towards right now. And if that's the case, I think then we're going to see the real Marcus and Varston sit up and stand up. I think we're going to see Marcus and Varston be a pivotal piece for this club. This doesn't mean that he's going to be the scoring machine that people have been asking for. I'm just saying that the value of his play will start to stand out sooner rather than later in this system. Everything that San Diego FC, Mikey Varas, Tyler Heaps has told us has come true. We're waiting on Marcus. They've waited on Marcus. They are expecting good things from Marcus and Varston, and kind of in the same way where Dua's feeling that pressure, you have a Lewis Morgan who knows how to get things done in this league. So you have now something to prove. Not that you're an excellent striker in the system, but that you fit the league in MLS. So I think the onus is on Marcus to step up, healthy as a horse. I still haven't seen a knock on him, like just 100 out of 100 stamina, more than likely. We haven't heard otherwise. But I hope, just for the sake of everybody who's circled him, and just I even saw him compared to Tomas Angel, pobrecito. But this is somebody that I think should start to just step up and be that, co-captain that you were essentially hired to be, along with Jeppe Tverskov, and just start leading the charge and start shutting mouths up.
That's a really good one. I really like that one. Okay. My hot take is that Lewis Morgan is going to have one blitzing Iloski style shooting star across the bow for SDFC. It could be as short as a 3-game run where he's like, goal, flying header, super great assist. Wow. This, that, the other thing. Oh, smart, brilliant, amazing. And like at the end of the middle of the 4th game, he gets hurt. And we don't see him again. Or it could be like a 9 or an 11 game run where he's lighting it up. This could be an all-league player. And then we don't see him like the rest of the year. Because this guy is like all or nothing. He's either all scoring goals starting for Red Bull in the MLS Cup, or he's not playing at all. Over the last 3 years was don't play at all. So instead of saying, "Oh, I'm going to alternate," I'm an Eric Hosmer stan. I'm just going to say the next year is going to be better. I'm going to say no. We get the middle ground, which is that he shows these brief, startling flashes of effectiveness that make you think he's a part of it. But the reality is he's never actually really part of this. They've got a younger player they're grooming. They would cut him in a minute if Fachado is ready to take this job. and send him forward. They'd say hasta la vista, baby. So that's my Lewis Morgan prediction, is one dazzling honeymoon run that makes us all fall in love with him, and we all invoke Milan's name, and we all like go, maybe this is the one. Oh. Who was it again? And then we like have 9 shows in a row. What's the Morgan status, Tony? What did Mikey say at practice about Lewis Morgan? When's he going to be available? In fact, we could do that today. We could probably do that today. So we'll get that thing started, get that tradition going.
No, I like it. By the way, and just because he's tied to San Diego, it's going to be eternally tied to San Diego FC. Milan Losky scored a free kick in CONCACAF Champions League. So immediately, just the first thing that came to mind was like, if Tomas Angel lived off of free, it's just, I'm sorry if you're watching, Tomas, pero pues échale más ganas, vato. A free kick against a child America, and just that would have been nice in open competition at some point, but didn't happen. Either way, interesting though that we kind of picked players to stand out and step up, mostly in the midfield. Just mostly there, and then kind of our hopes and aspirations are always coming from up top, like that front three.
It makes sense.
Yeah. one thing, as we kind of keep bouncing back and forth, one thing I really like about the way that this roster is constructed is I feel like Mikey Varas has a wave of options in his back four. He's got guys lined up. If you were an old Chargers fan, AJ Smith style, line them up 3 deep and let them compete, is what he would say every year about every position. But, really guys like Pilcher and Verhoeven that were considered to be really, really important parts of this last year, you might see a lot less of. Willie was a guy last year we're talking all about. Well, now what about Sargent? What about Sue? Eisner is the guy who's grabbed the job right now. Is he going to be the guy going forward? Luke is obviously a star in the making. I think that's clear. McVay's a rock. Dua, the ceiling is the moon, but you've got this whole group of Willie, Duru, Sargent. I'm leaving Reyes out for now. Willie, Duru, Sargent, Sue, Eisner, Pilcher, Verhoeven. And those guys are all basically playing for what? A spot.
Yeah. The right back position is still open. I feel like it's still open competition, and the good thing about a lot of those guys, they can go back and forth and play multiple positions, and like you could see some guys playing center back and then go play right back, or go from left to center. So that it's good flexibility to have, and it creates really good depth. And hopefully you don't need Andres Reyes at the second half of the season when he's ready to go. He could just be another depth piece that he's on the bench if you need him,
or a piece to trade and get something back, because that name carries still in MLS, and still to this day, like in rankings, people had him. I saw as the starter coming into this year, like way too many people. I'm like, okay, well, that just kind of tells me where the narrative is at a national level for some people. They're like, oh yeah, that's Reyes. Oh, he's gonna do a who? Do a fourth in that. They're like, wow. Oh, they got this Oswald Sue guy. Okay, automatically on top, number 2. Just silly stuff. And again, we're in a position too with San Diego FC where it's much like year one, where not who are these people? We know who these people are. They know who each other are. But now it's the question of, can they replicate? Can they do it again? Can they maintain this pace, this style? These are questions that are more a sustainability question in year 2, because we already know and they're proven that they can do it. So it's going to be an interesting test against Montreal, a team that they didn't see all of last year either.
I read a bunch of previews this week, trying to think about not only this show, but the season as a whole. I'd say by and large that a lot of people put SDFC in the strong second tier of, like scythe off about 5 or 6 teams that they feel have true championship aspirations. And SDFC follows into the next group of teams that could very well be contenders for the crown, but maybe missing a little bit here and there. And yeah, exactly. We're definitely not S tier. We're maybe like late A tier. I think that's probably where SDFC actually would be, is somewhere like late A tier, which is a good place to be, certainly, but it's also indicative of what the country and what a lot of MLS insiders are thinking about SDFC, which is like on the high end, it's they've got a system. They Tyler Heaps is almost never wrong. Every guy he picks, turns out to be really good. So they're going to keep getting younger and better, and they're just going to keep sailing forward. And this team could get 60 points. And then there's the side, and Alex put a link in our agenda about their over-under bets for the year. And it was, a couple of experts picking under, and one of them saying under in a lock. And when I've read negative stuff about San Diego FC, a lot of it has revolved around Anders Dreyer can't be this good 2 years in a row. He's going to take a big step back. Chucky isn't there to provide the material support that you would expect in the yin and yang, where one guy's good one year, the other guy's good the next. Instead, it's just Dreyer has to be good 2 years in a row. Everyone's going to focus on him. They don't have another guy that's really going to be able to pick up the slack. And so the team can wind up being closer to mid-table. Still good. I think even like worst case scenario, SDFC is probably 8th seed, like 7, 8, somewhere in that region, like a kind of mediocre-ish season where the ball doesn't bounce your way, your star doesn't play as well, you take some injuries along the way, you don't get that synergy mid-season, a couple changes, et cetera, et cetera. The chance that they win the conference, I think the chance of them winning the conference is pretty daunting, given that you've got both LAFC and Vancouver getting full years of their new DPs with enhanced rosters in both cases. I've seen both of those teams consistently listed in the top 6 in the league overall, with us a little bit behind.
Yeah, and that's fair, because I think the other question people are asking is, who did San Diego FC bring in to improve the club over the winter? And I think for a lot of people, they have to squint really hard to get the idea and the system that San Diego FC is trying to put together. And yeah, I think all of that is fair. But I do wonder, like, how much of this is going to be a drop off. Like, they had what was it, 63 points last season, and most people are saying 56 to 57, which isn't bad. I mean, you're competing for one of those top 4 spots in the Western Conference, which is, yeah, that means you're hosting. That means you're gonna get a home playoff spot. Um, I think when you're 60 and above, that means you're top tier, you're elite, you're a very good club. Around anything above 55, you're pretty good. Once you start getting to the low 50s into the 40s, that means you're 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 a wild card. You're close to a wild card team, and I think we're gonna be pretty good. Yeah, like that second tier. Maybe some games are gonna be dropped off, maybe 2, 3, if anything. So that's 9 points from last year. But um, I still think this is gonna be a good team. Dreyer should be at an MVP level. It's just putting it all together in the second year, and we'll get to witness that. And I think this first part of the season, is looking like it should be the easiest part, and then the second part after the World Cup, yeah, little difficulty, especially when you're going to face Inter Miami in September, and that's going to be quite the matchup. So yeah, it's yeah, they're going to have some different challenges in year two.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting for San Diego FC looking at the competition above. And I think the best thing that they could have done in the transfer window is not let important pieces leave. And I think that's what they did a good job in. And I think for the most part, they're relatively unknowns to MLS. Obviously, other teams have scouted, have seen the style, have studied it. And but just in general, I think we just haven't seen a year two of this team just knowing each other, knowing what they're supposed to be doing instead of learning how to do it on the fly. They've had some time, and now they have a reel to show others too that are coming in. Some of the Eisners, the new players, the new blood that's coming in. Of this is what we expect from you here in San Diego. This is how we do it. I'm not going to show you a YouTube video of a team that's in Scandinavia. No, like locally, this is how we do things. So go ahead and just do the best that you can in this. And it's going to be little contributions across the board to make sure that it's not a one player dependent team. I cannot, that's one of my personal pet peeves in soccer is just teams that over rely on one team, because I, as a neutral, just love the game. And if a player destroys my team or it's just, you just have to give it up. I like witnessing greatness. But when a player like that gets run down, they get the focus. That means more fouls. That means more pressure. That means more running, more expectations. And that just unfortunately does lead to a decline in play and or even injury. So you're just taken away from the beauty of the league. And just, I don't like anybody's light dimmed unless it's in you know, just in the way it should, with X's and O's. This team has to help honors Dreyer. This team has to contribute. And Varston has to muscle his way and tire those defenders and draw some attention away from Dreyer. He's the one closest. Pellegrino can't do that as much, right? He's on the whole other side unless the play goes right through him or he makes himself inevitable. They're still going to have that attention to Dreyer. But in the midfield, helping him out on the right back side, that's why that's so important to cover that with a quality player to help Dreyer not have to track back and pressure as much. He's going to have to do it because that's the style. But somebody who he's not looking on the back of like, I have to help this kid. I have to help him out. He's going to do it, but now you're taken away from his ability to move up and score and be that MVP caliber. So I think this team is going to end up third, fourth, potentially. Anything above that in the Western Conference, I think would be, again, fantastic. Anything below that's not in playoffs, I think I can say right now, like I'd be a little disappointed if they don't make playoffs.
I would completely agree. I would be disappointed if they didn't make the playoffs because of the trajectory that they chose.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so sorry. I swear to you, I don't want to keep beating this drum. Chuki's on the side field. Like they made a choice to take their most expensive player, voluntarily delete him from the lineup, go from 2 DPs to 1, deny their ability to add a second DP. They've decided to run with one wrist handcuffed behind them. You know, and when you make that choice, you have to back it up by doing exactly what they did against Pumas, showing maturity as a team. They showed so much maturity over the course of those two legs. First, withstanding, I should say, you know, a Golasso, an incredible Chilena goal against you, and just chipping away until the dam breaks and you pour in 4 goals. And then going for your first time as a team ever to mile high, you know, conditions and adversity in Mexico, playing a real competitive game in Mexico and being up against it the entire time and quote unquote winning by losing 1-0, but suffering your way through to advance through a leg. That showed so much great promise for this team. It raises my expectation level. So I'd be really disappointed if this team didn't make the playoffs. What I'm expecting personally is for this team to have a good first half with some adversity along the way and to figure out a resolution to this damn situation to add a second DP in the World Cup window, in the summer window, to add somebody to this group that dynamically improves them the way that Vancouver and LAFC got improved at the end of last year. And then if that's our trajectory, that's how I say we could win a cup or win a trophy, win a CONCACAF Cup, win something along the way. Otherwise, if we don't do that, to expect that we're going to be better and go further when we never address the thing that we did to ourselves, I find that ludicrous. Fanciful. Ludicrous is too strong. I find it fanciful, magical thinking. It's basically magical thinking. So, sometimes magic happens. And I love it, and everyone loves it when it's a magical thing. But I can't expect that. I have to expect that Anders Dreyer takes a measured step back from his MVP level because he's the focus of attention, and that at some point they're going to need to add some thump to the attack for this team. Will they do it? That's what we're all here to find out.
Are you ready for some Mikey Varas?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. We had Abe Cepeda out there for the first media day, media availability before MLS starts. So we have Mikey Varas, some Jeppe Tverskov, and a new and improved looking Anders Dreyer. Like, looks lethal. You see his haircut?
I did.
Oh yeah, he's looking like 2001 David Beckham. With Manchester United. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Teams are going to do, or is it living guesswork?
It's opponent to opponent is a little bit different, and then it's a little bit of it's analyzing who they are, but then also trying to estimate and guess what adjustments might they make based on how we play, because especially in possession, our shape is a lot more compact than other shapes. It's a little bit different than other teams. So you can't expect them to play us the same exact way. Like, you might think, oh, that space is going to be open, that space is going to be open, but it might not be open against us. And then ultimately we think teams will have more teams that try to match us man for man and go really high. And then we think that the other thing that we'll see is this kind of mid to lower block and just take away the middle of the field and see how we deal with that situation.
So you've been working on that?
Yeah, we've been trying to work on the scenarios that we think could be most relevant.
Is that sort of the next level for this team to identify those things and just?
Yeah. Something we talk about a lot is we want to get even better at traveling together, so being a real compact team. And then the other thing is to take what the opponent gives us, to recognize how they're playing us or what adjustments they make in the game, and then exploit that.
Could you?
Mikey Varas talking about the layers of this SDFC Right to Dream style, as there's footage out there now, whole season's worth, and essentially might have they've been figured out in how they're going to attack and what that's going to look like. He's saying it's going to look a little bit different. Like, they're working on exactly that out of training.
I wish a lot of other coaches would take note. NFL, I'm looking at you. Baseball managers, I'm looking at you. Like, Mikey's like, we do a thing, and this thing is that we have a compact formation, which leaves less space. So teams are going to try and do this. So then they're going to sit in a mid and a low block to try and prevent what we're doing. Like, this is actual strategy. This is actual tactical discussion. So how do we break it down, as opposed to always doing the Belichick? Well, we're on to Montreal. We're on to Montreal. We're working on what they do and what we do. Thanks, Mikey. Appreciate you, man. It's not all friggin' spycraft. It's sports. It's actual sports. There's no KFC formula for someone to steal with the secret herbs and spices. Okay? It's soccer. You're going to play. They know that. They know how you play. You know how they play. We don't have to pussyfoot around the whole thing. I appreciate his directness. What else do we got?
talking about who's going to start in goal.
Yeah, we're gonna start Duran at goal, and the reason is that CJ's still in a return to play protocol. This is also why Pablo started Champions Cup. So right now, it's CJ's main priority is getting back because it was a serious injury and he missed a lot of training time. So he needs time to readapt his body to the speed of play and just the positional needs that he has. He's definitely going to get there. And then once he does, it's going to be a pure competition again. But right now, Pablo will be leading the charge when he's available, and Duran will be the next man up, and then CJ is ready if needed.
Nothing unexpected there. CJ Dos Santos not ready. Duran Faris starts because Pablo has to serve the red card from the playoffs, but Pablo will start the second game. And CJ's in the wings until he's not, and they'll let us know. That makes sense.
Yeah, and this is going to be Faris' first ever Snapdragon appearance, or second ever Snapdragon appearance, and then fifth.
That mystical SanDiego Loyal versus Borussia Dortmund.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was wondering about that. Yeah, and then like that. Yeah, he's already have a few starts with the Loyal, so this isn't anything new for Duran Faris. So this is pretty exciting. We talked about this as soon as that red card happened to Pablo SanDiego against Vancouver, that this was going to be a possibility. If CJ can't go, CJ can't go. Now begins the Duran Faris era, even if it's just one match. I'm pretty excited about it. Local kid gets to start.
Always got to love the backup keeper. There's some good stories back there. And I'm excited to see how this one goes. And there was complete clarity in that discussion. Dos Santos isn't ready, so don't worry about it. It's Pablo and it's Duran. And because it can't be Pablo, it'll be Duran. All right. Some Mikey en Español.
Yes, sir. En Español. Well, that's completely in English. Give me a quick second here. Before that, sorry, while I set it up, my bad. I was being talked about, like, if this goes downhill and SanDiego FC is in a hole, when do people start looking at Mikey Varas in terms of hot seat discussions? Is that even a possibility this next season?
No.
Even even if things went like awfully wrong.
Okay. Yeah. No, unless he did something.
Okay. Yeah.
Like no, unless he picked another fight with another player, did something really weird, like got way over his skis that made a scene that everyone in soccer was talking about. And other than something like that, if he keeps being himself and SDFC struggles, it'll be discussed, but he won't be on the hot seat. He just signed a multi-year contract extension. He will coach this team next season. To me, that's 10 out of 10.
Yeah. All right. I got it in Español. Mikey, thank you, amor.
Yo creo que es un año para soñar si amas al fútbol, porque hay mucho fútbol en este país.
Mikey essentially is being asked about just this next season and the prospect of having players in the World Cup and just how big it is. Looking at Godoy specifically in that World Cup. Misclicked on the. Sorry about that. Misclicked on the highlight here. We'll cut this here. I'll edit it. My bad.
No, that's all right. Well, it was a year to dream. I thought I heard that. Año de soñar.
Un equipo consistente en cómo encaran un partido y también cómo son fuera de la cancha. Tener esa viveza de ha crecido, empezó como suplente, termina como titular que el día a día. Yeah, primero y principal, lo más importante es este partido que tenemos, que es muy honesto. Un privilegio. Él es muy importante de traer una ya estamos listos para primero y principal, lo más importante es este partido que siendo cuando llegamos al complejo. Pero es verdad que en este año vamos a jugar 2 campeonatos ya de jugadores que no han jugado tanto y no. Y esta gente que trust in the trajectory of their setting some still in a return to play.
Loading, my bad. It just looks like I'm just staring. It's just frozen.
No, it's all good.
Sus movimientos a la espalda son.
All right, he has a good answer for Zamble, if that's okay.
Yes.
All
Of
right.
course. That's
There
great.
we go. All right, and here's Mikey Varas talking about the new signing, Mr. Zamble.
Muy potente, entonces muy rápido.
He's a very powerful, fast
Sus
player.
movimientos a la espalda son
His movement from the back
muy rápidos,
are
son muy buenas.
very good and very
También es muy
fast.
bueno en el 1 contra 1.
He's really good on one-on-one situations.
También para mí tiene muy buen olfato de gol.
And he has a good
Llega
sense
muy
of
bien a
goal.
los áreas donde el gol puede venir.
He gets himself into perfect position where the goal can come.
Acaba de cumplir 18
He
y
just turned
también
18.
necesita tiempo para aprender muchas cosas.
But he needs
a
time to
nivel
learn
profesional.
a lot
Pero
of
tiene
things
mucho potencial.
at a professional level, but there's a lot of potential there.
Sí, nos toca entender, quiero saber más bien cuál sea tu filosofía detrás de darle ese ánimo al jugador para que pueda equivocarse, para
Asking
enseñarle, ¿sabes qué?
how does this team allow young players to make mistakes? What the philosophy goes into to allow players in a professional sense to make these mistakes and grow in real time.
Bueno, nosotros hablamos de jugar con iniciativa. Entonces, muy
Talking about playing with initiative.
A lo que dijo Sir Alex. Y también nosotros hablamos mucho de que vamos a hacer un build-up. El único build-up malo es el
only
que no
bad
tiene
build-up
una transición.
is the build-up that doesn't have a fantastic
Entonces,
transition.
Porque el fútbol es un juego de errores.
Soccer is a game of mistakes.
La pelota se pierde.
You lose the
Pero
ball.
ese actitud,
But it's about the attitude
es
after
lo
you lose
más
it.
fundamental.
It's
Porque
the most
podemos
fundamental.
jugar con riesgo y podemos
So
errar
we can make
cuando
mistakes.
sabemos
We can
que
play
tenemos
risky.
ese paracaídas.
When we know we have that
Esa
parachute,
transición
at least we have the
agresiva y fuerte.
transition.
Si no tenemos
The
esa
transition
transición,
play. If we
tenemos
don't
que
have that,
preocuparnos mucho más.
then that's where we have to worry a lot more.
Acá un contrato entre todos que
And we have
se
this
puede jugar
contract
libre,
between
se puede
everyone.
jugar
You can
sin
play
miedo
free,
de cometer errores,
but if you make a
pero
mistake,
el transición tiene
but the
que ser
transition
siempre
is
perfecto.
always primary. You always have to track back. You always have to defend. It's always about the team aspect, and that's the Right to Dream 101.
Mhm.
Great stuff. What a philosophy. That's what guys want to have. That's how players want to play. That's why SDFC might continue to be a popular place. Now, not necessarily a popular place for veterans to come, but a popular place for young players to grow and excel. Really interesting season preview. There's a lot of promise for this club. There's a lot of things to invest in for months and years and decades to come. There are interesting self-imposed limits that could put a harder ceiling on what SDFC can ultimately accomplish this season. But certainly we went into last season thinking that what they could accomplish is like, well, if we're in it in the last 3 games, like if with 3 games to go, we've got a chance at the play-in game, like that'd be pretty good, And instead we won the Western Conference and made it to the conference final in the MLS
on the
Cup.
last day too. That was amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have a right to dream about what SDFC can accomplish. And they've created that for us. And so that's super cool. Looking to Saturday, I think it's just important to say maybe briefly that take your expectations and throw them all aside. CF Montreal was really bad last year, and they've practically changed the whole roster. So who knows how good they're going to be? Good, bad, or indifferent. I think it's lazy thinking, Alex, to just think that Montreal is going to be bad because they were bad last year. They could be anything right now, even a boat.
It could even be a box, a mystery box. Yeah, it could be anything. But I think historically, this team, the way it's been run right now, the sons of the owners are running the team, and it kind of seems like they're running the team into the ground. And they remind me a little bit of the Oakland A's, just because
Ooh.
they're cheaping out on players. They don't really have a designated player. They do have one listed, but it's not even theirs. It's a he's a loanee from Porto. So they're not really taking this whole thing seriously. They really want to cheap out, and it's just not a great situation. But who knows? They're very much a bunker down, counterattacking team. We've seen these type of teams before. Think Minnesota United, but they're not as good as Minnesota United. So that's pretty much what they tended to do. They kind of switched managers last season after 5 matches. They were kind of fighting with themselves over an identity. They try to be a possession based team, and they kind of lost that. You know, late into the season. So it's kind of we have to wait and see what this team is going to bring. They weren't really good as a home team, and they were kind of decent as an away team last season. But still, they were 13th last season in the Eastern Conference. They didn't really score that many goals. They not a very attacking team. It kind of seems like this is a team you kind of want to face right now to start your home opener, and maybe put up 2-3 goals on them and send them back home to Canada.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no advantage for San Diego FC since it's the first game of any sorts of travel, because this is a far travel for the Quebecois to make it over here.
This might be their longest trip, right?
Yeah. And they're starting once again, as they did last season, with I believe 6 or 7 away games. So this is game 1. This is the one where in theory they should have the best chance to come out with the result here in San Diego. Not a lot with Montreal in terms of just firepower. It's another team that does like to control the midfield a lot. Their number 6, their captain, is somebody to look at, Samuel Piet. So Pieti. Sorry, non parle français. That's literally all I know. But I think San Diego can definitely overwhelm the senses and just hit overdrive on Montreal at any given point, and it's a matter of finishing those chances, those opportunities. When Mikey was talking about teams that are on the low block, any team in this league can turn into a low blocking team against San Diego FC. So it's a matter of figuring out those puzzles and those ways to go about the labyrinth of defensive looks that they're going to find. And it's a matter of being, lethal up front. It's going to be up to the front 3 to really unlock this. If it's a midfield battle, when I can see a Jeppe just getting an assist here for a Valakari potentially, but this should be a game where San Diego wins. Again, they need to reassert and remind everybody who won the Western Conference Finals last year, and they cannot start. I believe I personally, they just can't start with anything other than a victory against a Montreal team that it's classic MLS. That's where most people think MLS, the bar is for MLS. The Montreal roster and the Montreal team. Can they be better? Potentially. Anything can be surprising, but for San Diego, I think if they stick and focus on what they want to do, they'll be just fine.
Well, I love the positivity, and in the previews I've seen, I haven't seen anyone say that CF Montreal is destined for greatness this year. But again, team surprise. I have a hard time. I have a hard time being that arrogant this quick as a franchise to be like, well, in our first year, we went to MLS Cup, winners Galaxy, and we beat them 2-0 on the road. Nobody had that as the result for that game. going into that game if you went around the MLS world. So nobody would have CF Montreal coming into San Diego and getting a result on their bingo card. And as such, I feel, and I think Mikey does a great job of this, like stay humble, stay focused, stay true to your goals, stay true to your beliefs as a club in terms of what you do and how you do it. And if you do, we seem to have a very well constructed dynamic club that if we can find the attack, we should be able to defeat CF Montreal. Now, if we can't find the attack, it could be a lumpy draw that gets everybody a little bit irritated, and that's what I would describe it as, a little bit lumpy if we come out zeros or ones in this. And if it was 2 and higher, 2-2, 3-3, just thinking about draws, then we'd be talking about can't wait to get Cisniega back, probably. Maybe poor Duran didn't have himself the best day.
Yeah, I think that is a good point to make, because Duran Free, like, how is he going to play in this match when the goalkeeper does so much, especially with his feet? He has to direct traffic. He can't just launch the ball here. He does have to play a part in the system. So that might be a moment where they might just say, forget the counterattack. We can press. We can press and put pressure on Fari, because he's a young kid making his first start in MLS. It might be a great opportunity. And one of the guys up front, Prince Owosu, just got his contract extended over the offseason. He's a big part of their attack, only part of their attack, really. 10 non-penalty kick goals last season, and he might be told, just press up front, because we got to take advantage of this.
And Duran has been in the system. That's actually one of his strong points, is the ball at his feet. And been part of Right to Dream, been part of FC Northland, and this is an opportunity, like you said. And I mean, for what it's worth, he's never been scored on in MLS play.
True.
He's also never been scored on in MLS playoffs play. So, just saying.
Facts, just hard facts.
Those are just 80 facts.
Simple, hard facts. Well, once again, we'll be here with post-match coverage. I will not be in the supporter section on Saturday, as I mentioned before, because of my full-time job with San Diego Sockers. They play that same evening, not at home, or else neither Tony and I could be there. But they do play on the road, but my work responsibilities will keep me from being in the section, but it will not keep me from watching the game. As a matter of fact, Sockers kick at 6 and SDFC at 7:30. So things will be hopefully all but buttoned up in Tacoma, and we'll be laser locked in on the big screen for SDFC. Yeah, exactly. We're just going to be switching hats midway is pretty much what we're going to be doing on Saturday, but we'll be there locked in for the post-match show coming up when all is said and done. Gentlemen, anything else before we close the lid on this one?
I think I'm excited to see everybody out there. Just the energy once again for a brand new season, and just to really see what San Diego has to offer in year 2, right? Like it's year 1 is always fun. It's the new thing, exciting, but then you start to weed out, people who aren't there just for the soccer, or more people are coming in for the soccer and are enjoying the spectacle of it. So, it's just little things, right? Is the panda going to be back at halftime? Is that going to happen? Are we going to have a different color scheme for the fireworks? A different, Oh, spoiler. There was a part 2 of those Dear San Diego poem. So we might hear part 2 of the Dear San Diego poem. I believe it's called "Thank You, San Diego." This was read at the
poor kid
unprecedented Unity Night right before the fashion show.
Hey, so about that poem we liked so much, what do you got for an encore?
And you know what? We might get it. And Mr. Mansour will be there. Dominic Mysterio, the greatest luchador with last name Mysterio, will be the keeper of the flow. So, hey, everybody's ready to go for Saturday. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, and I'm excited about that. I'll be there. I'll be, supporting and checking things out. And I heard there's new food options over there in Snapdragon. I can't wait to try out.
What happened to your tasting video, Tony?
Oh, that's going to be coming up because I was invited, yes, by SanDiego FC to partake in some of the new cuisine that is happening over at Snapdragon Stadium. Don't have it ready, but I'll have it posted
All
at
right.
some point as well. I will
Still
recommend.
one in the oven right now.
It's still cooking for sure. It's still digesting some of it because some good eats down there. Pokey nachos, sure. Just a little preview. A lamb chop. They had lamb chop. Yeah, dude. Yeah. And
That's
you know
for
what?
somebody sitting in a suite somewhere.
You know what was most infuriating? It was actually decent. It was decent, and I ate it.
Lamb is good. I've had some incredible lamb chops before.
Yeah, rack of lamb.
Yeah,
it's delicious.
It was excellent, but in a stadium
at a fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
It's delicious. That's weird.
That's the upper echelon. Yeah, of tickets you got to buy. Yeah, that's not me. That's
the hoi polloi. That's for the well-to-do like yourself, El Senor Sanchez, just rubbing elbows with the pop, the cognoscenti of the world.
And our $300 million superstar Manny Machado, is he going to jet in for this one?
Hey, good question. He'll be there. He'll be there. Come on,
PJ,
spring training,
everybody. Yeah.
Bring the team again last year when people were asking, "Hey, this is your team. Like you haven't been representing," and then you just decided to bring the entire team that night.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding when I say like it's ridiculous. Like just this full on lamb chop. It was insultingly good. But knowing the type of event I was in, of course, no prices, of course, no actual portion. So just be ready. Be prepared to drop about $200. That's after parking. So hopefully just take MTS, guys. Take MTS. Mm-hmm. Public service announcement, MTS.
Oh, I absolutely. First off, I was a little bummed they didn't offer it for the first CONCACAF game. They waited, but now MTS has the full season price SDFC ticket where I think it's like $56 or something like that for the entire season. So it will be a savings. I think it's as long as you go to 12 games, you wind up netting a savings doing that as opposed to paying game by game. So yeah, I'm absolutely going to be loading that up. I mean, I've even got depending on what the family's doing, I got half of mine to go maybe take in a little of the tailgate before just going back home for the soccer's match and everything else, just to be, be in the purple lot and enjoy it. But if not, I'll be there on March 1st. It's a long season, to be sure. And it was a long show, almost an hour and a half, but we're done on this episode of the Chromaniacs. Can't wait for the regular season. We're into the weekly grind from here till the World Cup, basically, at which point everyone takes a little break. Tony will be off gallivanting, he and Chiva. World travelers to wit, you can help them on their journey. Chromaniac fans, help out Tony and Chiva with their GoFundMe. How's that for a setup for all your teases, Tony? It looks like it was too good a one. You don't have it right there.
It was a little too good, but you know what? Not too far behind because yes, you can help us out through our GoFundMe. Here is the QR code. You can screenshot if you're on your phone and press it. It'll take you to the same place. It'll go to our very own Help Us to the World Cup Fund through SanDiego.Futbol, 2 balls and a mic. The adventure. It's been 6 years in the making, covering soccer in San Diego. We're going to go ahead and cover Aníbal Godoy. We're going to potentially cover Honors Dreyer versus Mexico in Mexico City. So if you want to go ahead and be a part of it, we're going to take San Diego to the World Cup with us. Go ahead and help us out at SanDiego.Futbol. All the links will there. Here's the QR code once again. Alex, ¿qué onda que traes?
Yeah, and I'm going to be writing up a match preview and, putting this podcast in that post. And you can catch that at chromaticfc.com. Make sure to subscribe. And thanks for all the people that have subscribed, have been promoting all my work. So I really appreciate it. So how about you, Craig?
Well, again, follow us on Instagram at the Chromaniacs. You can follow my personal account on Instagram if you like at 619 Sports and Life, which of late has just been pictures of me and Tony at soccer's games, but I'll try and get something else up there. Oh, I took a picture today from indoor La Mesa Indoor Soccer, the legendary La Mesa Indoor Soccer. You can follow me on Instagram at 619 Sports and Life. You can follow me on Blue Sky, but I'm very rare there at 619 Sports as well. And of course, the suite of podcasts continues. Yesterday, Tony and I recorded Soccer's Overtime. Actually, a really, really cool interview with the backup keeper, Nathaniel Lindquist, who grew up in Uganda and Kenya before moving back here because his parents were missionaries. So really fascinating story about how soccer unites. You can hear that. Padres Hot Tub had the latest on all of AJ Preller's flurry of signing of 5th and 6th starters for the rotation, as well as picking up the Phillies trash and dusting it off. And now it's our treasure. You can check that out. Preller Palooza. There it was. In Peoria, the title of that one. Plus, we did release on our audio feed, on the free feed, something we did for the patrons, and you can support us at patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. We did a full episode of Padres Hot Tub Family Feud with all the bells and whistles, and I mean literally all the bells and whistles. You can check that out, and hopefully that inspires you to come join the community where we do stupid and silly stuff and really fun stuff like that. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. That's it for all the teases. If you're still here and you haven't hit the like button, can you hit the like button before you go? Thank you so much. For Tony Sanchez and Alex Pena, I'm Craig Elston. We'll talk to you Saturday night after the match and hopefully 3 points in the coffer. And until then, vamos, SDFC.